You ever wake up thinking your day's going to be boring, like absolutely nothing could possibly go sideways? And then by lunchtime, your entire life is upside down, and your wife's in the hospital because your neighbor decided to play dictator with a badge. Yeah, that happened to me. It started on a Saturday, a regular sleepy one. I thought I'd maybe finish my coffee, sand down a shelf in the garage, tinker with the battery array I'd been messing with all month, real suburban dad energy. You know, Amanda, my wife. She was up already filling the house with the smell of her too strong hazelnut coffee, the kind that sticks to the curtains for days. I didn't bother checking my phone, just shuffled off to the shower, and man, I lingered. Hot water, that steam curling up like a fog, 15 minutes of not thinking about bills or neighbors or the HOA or any of it. Turns out that was my last peaceful moment for a long time. I missed the doorbell, missed the knock, didn't hear the engine outside or the squeak of body armor. The first thing I did hear was a crashed glass and wood and Amanda's scream echoing down the hall. I stepped out, towel half on, hair dripping, and there she was on the floor, bleeding, arm twisted, eyes wild and terrified. Two men in full tactical gear stood over her, rifles up, shouting. For a second, I honestly thought we were being robbed. I didn't even feel real. I just froze watching water pool under my feet. One guy barked, "Get down." The other, "Where's the workshop?" And I'm standing there in a towel, half awake, no clue what's happening. They slammed me down face first on the cold tile, my cheek, numb heart, jackhammering. Amanda's voice was barely there, something wet and broken. All I could see was blood on her face, bruises already coming up her hair, plastered to her cheek. I yelled, "You've got the wrong house," but they just kept at it. One guy rifling through drawers, another shouting into his radio, "We have a positive address. Move to the back." They tore through my garage, probably expecting a bomb lab, but all they found was some drone batteries and a pile of wires. Didn't matter. The boots never stopped moving. At some point, one of them called in, and I caught his face go pale, like maybe this wasn't adding up. He went over to Amanda, who was gasping for air, wrist bent, wrong blood soaking into the hardwood. "We need a medic," I shouted again. For a second, everything got real quiet. One of them muttered something, called for an ambulance. Then, like someone flipped a switch, they all just started backing out. Not one word of apology, no explanations. They left us wrecked. Amanda, half conscious, me shivering and humiliated, my living room looking like a tornado hit it. I remember thinking, is this even legal? Is this how it works now? Some neighbor calls in a tip and the cavalry shows up with rifles and no questions asked. I found Amanda's eyes and she whispered I thought it was a delivery. That's when I remembered the cameras. Years ago, I'd put up a security system, front door, living room, the whole deal. Shaky hands, I found my phone and played it back, our front door being kicked in. Amanda's scream, some guy with a half-spilled coffee smashing our glass table in the chaos. All of it on tape. Every last miserable second. No knock, no warrant, no badge, just guns and panic. They only called for help after I screamed my head off. Only ID I got was a name mumbled on the way out, Silver Valley complaint. Probable cause. Don't blame us. That's when it clicked. Silver Valley, the HOA next door, the one run by Karen Satterfield, queen of the block and professional grudge holder. We'd been fighting her off for 2 years. She wanted our property and her fiefdom, even though legally we weren't part of it. She tried everything, letters, fines, for mailbox color threats about my solar panels. Even lost in court. So when a deputy finally showed up in the ER, Amanda pale as a ghost head, stapled wrist in a cast. I wasn't polite. "You want to explain why my wife has staples in her skull?" I asked. He tried to look official, told me they were acting on a credible tip about explosives and surveillance equipment. From who? Silver Valley Reserve, Karen's turf. He said it like that meant something, like it was all fine, just a big misunderstanding. I handed him every document, our deed, court rulings, the county map, even the HOA exemption notice. You people didn't check a damn thing I told him. He scribbled in his pad, promised to put it in the report, but we both knew where this was headed. Nowhere. He even admitted the complaint came straight from Karen herself, signed, stamped official letterhead and all. She claimed I was building God knows what in the garage, said there were explosive sounds. It was a barbecue on Memorial Day, attached, zoomed-in photos of me soldering a drone. It would have been hilarious if Amanda wasn't in surgery. Lena, my old friend, and a hell of a civil rights attorney, was at my house by nightfall. She walked the rooms, took statements, snapped photos, called everyone she knew. "We're going to sue them into oblivion," she said, dead serious. I didn't care about the money. I wanted Karen to answer for what she'd done. By Monday, everything blew up. Someone leaked the security footage, maybe a nurse, maybe a tech. By noon, it was everywhere. Local news, national news, internet weirdos. Headlines screamed, "Wrong house, wrong family, meet HOA tyranny." My phone went crazy, but all I wanted was for Amanda to open her eyes and feel safe again. Lena subpoenaed every record she could find, emails between Karen and the county, text messages, meeting minutes. Turns out our raid wasn't a one-off. Karen had weaponized the HOA against at least 4 other families, always the outliers who didn't want to play along. An old couple, a therapy dog owner, a teenage kid lighting sparklers. She'd sicked inspectors and deputies on all of them. But with Amanda's blood on the floor, finally someone cared. A twist I never saw coming, a whistleblower. Rachel, a junior clerk, called Lena and said she'd overheard Karen and Deputy Renier plotting. Karen drew a fake map, called our land unclaimed common area, total fiction. Renier didn't care, just signed off. Rachel gave us the map, and Lena went ballistic. She filed for state investigation that afternoon. By the next morning, Renier was on administrative leave. The whole HOA board started to panic. The IRS poked around for missing funds, and Karen was holed up 2 towns over, yelling about political persecution on Facebook. Then came Gregory Holtz, a quiet former board member, handed me a USB drive, said I warned her, but she laughed. What was on there? Recordings of Karen scheming using phrases like domesticate the outliers, emails about structured consequences, proof that the raid wasn't just a fluke, but an actual plan to bully non-members into submission. Lena turned all of it over to the Attorney General. It snowballed from there. Subpoenas, press, more lawsuits. Neighbors, folks I'd never met, showed up with banana bread and apologies. Most were just scared to be the next headline. Lena built a case so airtight even the judge said the living room footage made him sick. The HOA's insurer tried to settle for $1 million. The county upped it to 2.5. We held out. Amanda's face was on the cover of Time, not for a photo op, but because home wasn't safe anymore. People from all over wrote to us. Horror stories, wine chimes, flower beds, wheelchair ramps, every petty abuse of power you could think of. The media called it the HOA wars. We were just the first domino. Amanda healed, but slowly. She wouldn't sleep in our bedroom, flinched at loud noises. I rebuilt the door myself. Oak, reinforced hinges, cameras everywhere. Karen got dragged into depositions, tried to play dumb, but Lena had her dead to rights. Then we got the memo, a compliance protocol listing us and other problem homes, each with a list of escalating punishments. Our slot surveillance code violations, anonymous complaint, pressure PD, all signed by Karen. The grand jury came back. Indictments. Karen arrested at her rental looking like she'd just seen a ghost. Renier, too. Turns out their corruption ran deep, board seats, traded for favors, secret donations, the whole 9 yards. The criminal trial would take time, but the civil case went fast. $3.8 million. More money than I'll ever need, but it didn't fix Amanda's nightmares or the dent in our floor. We didn't move. Amanda said if we leave, it's like saying they were right. So we stayed and the neighborhood changed. The HOA was dissolved, the gate came down. Karen got 12 years, no parole for 8. Her sob story didn't move the judge one bit. Lena started a nonprofit to fight HOA abuse. Our case was just the beginning. But closure isn't real. We rebuilt, we healed, but we're never quite the same. Amanda started teaching art again, painted a series called Impressions of Impact. Lena turned our story into a movement. The county rewrote their raid policy. No warrant, no entry, ever. Small victories, but they matter. Sometimes a crack in the wall is all it takes to bring down the house of cards. So here's my question to you. Where's the line in your neighborhood? What would you do if it was crossed? Drop your thoughts below. Justice overreach, bad neighbors. What's your story? And if you think this could never happen to you, just remember, sometimes all it takes is a knock at the door and someone convinced they're in the right. Let's talk about it.